Hi, Randy Haber here for SoCal Go Live. I'm here at the National Baseball Expo in beautiful Del Mar, California. It's January 15th. Actually, the 16th. This has been going on for a two-day event. And this is the best place on earth right now, isn't it?
Well, definitely the weather this past week can't get any better than we have here in San Diego. And baseball around the corner, it's good to see this expo going. And as you can see from all the kids, a lot of enthusiasm here in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you played 10 years, Randy, in the major leagues. And really, when you left, was there anything left in the tank, or was that it?
No, when I left after 10 years, I'd already hurt my arm 5 times, and it was nerve damage. So, it really got to the point where I really couldn't go out and do the job that I thought I wanted of myself, and I was kind of forced to retire. But, you only got so many bullets, so many pitches in the arm, and I ran out.
Well, you were known as a guy who threw a lot of innings. And was that based on the fact that you were always in good shape, or was it just the makeup and your style of pitching?
Well, a little bit of both. You got to stay in good shape to complete 25 games in a year and pitch 300 innings and take care of your legs. And, that's the way we did it in the 70s and the early days there. Complete games, we take a lot of pride in that. And one of my favorite things was to do is shake everybody's hand after the last out was made in the 9th inning. That was kind of special to me, and I seem to do that quite a bit.
Now, your big years were in the mid-'70s. You won the Cy Young Award. Was that 76, I believe?
Yeah, 76.
76 was the Cy Young, and you put up a lot of innings then, too. Well, it was a magical year for you, right? Everything you threw up there seemed to work, and you're healthy, and everything else came together.
Well, sure. That's what you need. You got to be consistent, and a little bit of luck's always involved. Anybody that wins 20 ball games will tell you that. And I was able to do it back-to-back years. But you got to be pretty consistent on the mound. You got to go out there and be durable enough, and that's what we tried to do. We prided ourselves on that, and no regrets from my side. I competed the game the way I felt we should compete, and I sure had a lot of fun.
Now, later on in your career, you went over to the New York Mets. That was a little bit of a problem for you over there. Was that the injury bug that bit you on that? That
was just the injury bug. I just couldn't get my arm healthy. The nerve damage had really taken its effect on my arm. I know, and even my last year with him in '82, I got up to kind of a pretty good start. My arm felt pretty good. I think I won 4 or 5 starts in a row, and it was kind of encouraged. And the very next start, I snapped that nerve again in my arm, and that pretty much spelled the end of my career.
Now, let me ask you this. The 2011 Padres look like they're going to have a pretty good team, but they lost a couple of leaders there in Adrian Gonzalez and David Eckstein. Who's going to pick up the slack?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, but if you can look on paper, maybe even personnel-wise, the 2011 Padres might look better on paper than they did last year, in my opinion. The one thing is, we picked up Aaron Harang to chew up innings after we lost John Garland, and that's one key thing. The bullpen's still intact. But when you pick up Brad Hopp at first and Orlando Hudson at second, Jason Bartlett at third, you still got Chase Headley, at third base with another year's experience. Cameron Maben in center field, Ryan Ludwig in left field, and Will Venable in right field. You start there with your opening day lineup right there. I think that's a little bit better lineup than we actually had in 2010. The one key thing, what you got to do, is be able to slam the door out of that bullpen like we did in 2010. And if these bullpen guys can duplicate or anything close to last year, I think this might be a better Padre ball club than we had last year with just Adrian as the sole source of run production in the middle of that lineup. That was the concern. And they did really well winning 90 games doing that. But I think maybe the nucleus of this ball club, if they can pull it all together and stay healthy, could win more ball games than that.
Now, the resurgence of the Padres really is built around their farm system, isn't it? And bringing those kids up that really have the young arms and the young legs to get the job done.
And I think it's going to be more prevalent as we go into the future forward. That's the plans of Jed Hoyer. I know a new ownership is you got to draft smart and you got to develop these players with the expectations of being Major League Baseball players. And they're going to have to continue to do that. My opinion, sometimes in the minor leagues, you get a little soft. You take too much care of your players, and they don't develop the way you want them to. But I think with Jed Hoyer and the people that we have in charge right now, they know how important that is, and they're going to make that happen.
And we see a lot of the modern-day pitchers looking into the dugout after the 4th inning, hoping that somebody comes and gets them, pulls them out of the game. I know this is a bugaboo with you, and it is with me also. You go old school.
Yeah, old
We never
school.
saw this stuff. But now it seems like these guys might be a little bit overcoddled. Is that the case?
I would think so a little bit. I think Nolan Ryan might have said it best when he took over the Texas Rangers. Said he was going to, as you start in the minor leagues, develop them where they go deeper into a ball game. I think a lot of minor league pitchers, they get here, good arms. It's all about velocity now, and command of a changeup and a fastball. But you go out there and throw as hard as you can, as long as you can. It may be a little more the philosophy today instead of spreading it out and being smart and being able to pitch 8 or 9 innings. And I think overall, Nolan's trying to get him back into that. It's a thought process. I think there's a lot of starting pitchers that get to the major leagues and are ready for the major league, but they've never even pitched in the 7th inning or gotten out of a jam in the 7th and 8th inning. And if you don't know how to do that, don't expect to start doing it in the big leagues. So I think you got to develop that in the minor leagues so you can come up, and then now your expectations are completely different as a starting pitcher.
Now, Randy, if you could have one skill, velocity, deception, or location, which is the most important to a pitcher?
I take location all day long. My advantage is I had 2 out of 3. I had deception and I had location. Didn't have any speed whatsoever, so I went the other way. Instead of trying to add in certain situations, I would actually subtract and throw the ball a little bit slower to get that ground ball. But I stay within my limitations. But if you find me somebody that has location and a little bit of deception, it's going to go a long way in the game of baseball.
Now, in your big years when you won all those games, it really required that you had a very, very solid defense behind you, right? Because you were a ground ball pitcher, basically.
Well, I worked fast. On average, like 21, 22 ground balls a 9-inning game. I pitched to contact. I wanted you to hit the baseball. I wasn't going to strike you out. If I did, it was your fault. I was trying to get you to make contact on my terms, a ground ball, sinker ball down in the strike zone. Got to be a ground ball most of the time. And that was my philosophy. And I think what helped the defense, I worked fast, and they knew that. Before I threw the first pitch of the game, they knew they were going to be busy. I wasn't going to strike out 10 guys. I was going to get 20 ground balls. And I think a lot of times they look forward to that.
Yeah, outstanding. Randy, I want to thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes with us today.
My pleasure.
Wish you the best of luck in the future. Anything new on the barbecue sauce coming in?
There might be a few additions. If you go to RandyJonesBBQ.com, you can check out some new items that I'm actually coming out with.
Outstanding.
Thanks,
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Randy Jones, one of the great pitchers of all time, Cy Young Award winner in '76. Really good guy. Has another side business with his barbecue business, and that's a winner also. So I want to thank him very much for sparing some time with us here at the National Baseball Expo here in beautiful Del Mar, California.